And welcome into another week of True Talk here from Bono's Barbecue, Merrill Road 295. And we've got an hour of Jacksonville basketball talk for you on deck. Plenty to talk about after another action-packed week of JU hoops. And we've got more online, too. We're going to be joined by baseball coach Chris Hayes joining us here in the second segment as well, a guy I know that you are a fan of, Coach, as someone who has been, he just knows the JU way and took you under his wing early on, and so we'll get a chance to catch up with him ahead of the season, and we'll look ahead to this week with a couple of more games because we are in the thick of it right now, Coach. I mean, it is conference play. It just never slows down at this point in the year.
You know it. In the thick of it, obviously coming off a very stressful week, but at the same time, it's part of the season. You got ups and flows, and so just being able to understand what we need to do and how we need to rebound and bounce back.
It's one of those where I think people can get caught up in the maybe minutia is not the right term, but just like you get so buried in just a singular result, right? And you look at a moment on a calendar, and we were even talking about it before starting the show tonight. It's like the season didn't end last week, despite the challenging results. I mean, still tied for second in the league, in a good spot, still very much with a lot to play for right in front of you if you seize it type thing. How do you even make sure that forget what the fans think and all that kind of stuff, but how do you make sure your team remembers that and doesn't get too lost in it?
You know what? I had to talk with our guys just to get them to understand. Every team has, certain spurts or certain parts of the season where, they lose, they drop 2 or drop 3 that they're not supposed to necessarily drop. And so we actually used UConn a couple years ago when they won a national championship. They had lost like 3 straight within that season. And then we talked about how many games they ran off. And I just used our team as an example as well and said, hey, look, guys, you have this, this gut-punching feeling where you feel like the season's over because you won so much. You won 7 games. You were on a streak, probably the hottest team in the league. And you feel like at home is somewhere we're supposed to protect. We're supposed to make sure, we take care of Swisher. And we just had 2 very unique games. The first one, highly emotional. Then the second one, highly emotional as well because you're going against your rival. And you feel like you just didn't come out and give them your best effort.
To set the scene for those who may have missed it, Jacksonville home games last week against FGCU and North Florida Wednesday and Saturday, and they were these bizarre mirror images of each other in which the Dolphins were up big at home on Wednesday night. The lead slips away. FGCU takes the lead in the final minute of the game and hangs on to win. On the other side, it's a huge hole that the Dolphins find themselves in on Saturday night. Scratch and claw your way back into it. Have the ball twice with a chance to try and tie the game, potentially force overtime in the final 30 seconds, and it just doesn't quite come to fruition. Number one, Coach, maybe the strangest back-to-back games I have ever witnessed, at least with this program, just in the fact that you just don't anticipate 2 games playing out the way that those 2 particularly played out. How did you all try to process it? Because I know it's hard when you've got a quick game and a quick turnaround. It was a little bit longer than usual from the Wednesday to the Saturday, but now that you've had like a few days post all of this as a staff, as a team, to kind of take a deep breath and step back, how have you all started to work forward?
So, you know what, I texted our staff yesterday and told them, spend time, enjoy time with your families. Really kind of, enjoy your family, the people that you're around the most. And we'll get back to work on Monday. But as far as myself, when you look at the results, it was such an emotionally taxing week that, Sunday I just rested, be honest. I was sitting around the house, just wanted to rest and try to kind of get some recovery. And I just told our staff this morning at our staff meeting, you never know why certain things happen, but you have to understand that lessons and losses. And so being able to see that you have the ability to get up on the team that is the number 1 team now in the league, and you're up, 24 or more in the second half, you have to finish a game once you put that amount of effort in. You don't want to rob yourselves. And then you're supposed to, have a rivalry game where we think our guys are going to be highly amped, ready to go for the game. And we just came out so sluggish. It really reminded me of our Lipscomb game in the first half.
Yeah, yeah, and it was. You said it post game, the physicality. North Florida came out with a level of physicality that JU just wasn't ready to match there in the first 10 minutes or so. And by the time it seemed like things were starting to wake up, all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and you go, "What happened?"
Yeah, they credit to North Florida, credit to Coach Driscoll. He did a great job of having his team ready to go. They came out, they were extremely physical with us, and to be honest, they played our style of ball.
Yeah, that is what it looked like.
And, you're kind of frustrated when you see those first – literally, I just got done leaving the office. When you look at those first 5 or 6 possessions, we literally are great ball screen defense, get a steal, don't capitalize in transition. You have multiple possessions where you're getting offensive rebounds, but you don't score. They literally take the ball out of our hand after we do the hard work, and they dribble down the floor and get a transition 3 off, basically getting a steal off our offensive rebound. And so it kind of set the tone where – you guys aren't going to muscle and play your type of game that you want to play tonight. And so respect to them. Our guys understand that, hey, look, when you at the top, everybody's going to give you their best shot.
Yeah. And a team like that too, right? They see those first couple go through, the confidence just skyrockets at that point because that's what they do.
That's what they do. It's, it's known. They are a very unique style of play. And so, obviously, we didn't make it hard on them at all. Like I said, those guys were shooting horse shots, coming down, pulling up in transition. I'm looking at our guys almost and looking at our staff like, hey, did we not go over the scouting report? What scouting report were we looking at? Because these dudes are shooting horse shots.
Yeah, and too easy early, but then the interesting part of it, whether you look at Wednesday or you look at Saturday, there were 2 halves there that were really, really good. I mean, that first half on Wednesday is as elite as I have seen this group really kind of come together. It felt like, you want to talk about horse shots, it felt like you guys looked like you were scoring on air at certain times because everything was working perfectly. But was it too easy? Is that part of what led to some of the letdown in the second half?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because I don't think we've ever necessarily been in that position. We've been up 16, we've been up 12, certain things throughout, but we've also we always tell our guys, like, hey, you have to put the game away.
Yeah.
Certain, like Central Arkansas at home, we're playing them, and we don't put them away. We let them stay around. Then teams make run. North Al, you get up 8, then you make mistakes. And so it was, around the 14-minute mark in the second half, we were up 23 or 24, and it was like, okay, foul three-point shooter, come down in transition. They score because they had an N1 3. Then we come down up 20, and we throw the ball away. They skip it ahead, transition 3. And before you knew it, it was 16 points. And so it was a whole bunch of plays that we did that were unforced. And our mentality is, we're up 20, the other team's going to quit. Teams don't quit at this level. Like, they don't.
Especially not in conference play. Yeah.
Like, they're going to play all the way till the buzzer goes off. And so it was a learning lesson for us. Even though it was painful, you also want to understand we're going to be in this position again at some point because we are a very talented basketball team. We need to know how to handle that situation better.
And then on the flip side, on Saturday, what did you say as a staff to the team at halftime to get them to come out and play resembling JU basketball, right? That level of physicality and toughness and like, hey, every possession matters and we're going to value the basketball and force turn, that kind of stuff that we saw much more on display in the second half.
So when we looked at the score sheet, the one thing that was surprising, they had 15 points, second chance points.
Yeah.
And those second chance points literally came off free throw line, not boxing out, kick out 3, multiple threes or daggers, as we like to say, off offensive rebounds.
Yeah, the long rebounds.
Rebounds. And so we're sitting there and I'm looking at our guys and I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at that score sheet and I'm like, hey, guys, they average anywhere between 12 to 13 threes made per game, and right now they're at 11. Yeah. And so it's the first half. What do you guys want me to tell you? Do you want me to, recap the post game, before pregame speech and tell you, hey, we need to go out here. These guys are going to be hungry. Don't look at their record. What do you want me to say to you to get you going? And so one of our guys who's hurt, obviously Simon Wheeler, he was like, Coach, don't even worry about it. We've already talked. We understand what needs to happen. And we got the first 4 minutes and we're going to lay down. Then we just need to play the younger guys. And so I looked at him and was like, okay, well, we're going to go out there. We're going to compete. Y'all let me know. The coach staff and myself, we're going to continue to coach. But tonight, we just didn't show up. I don't know what's the problem, but we got to make it a game, especially by the 10-minute mark. If we can pull within 10, it's going to be a game.
There's both games end up in losses in gut punch type ways, so there's no real we felt good about that. But to end the game on Saturday versus how you ended the game on Wednesday, with the team showing the level of fight, with them showing that, hey, listen, like, no matter how bad it gets, we're not going to roll over. We're not going to lay down. We're not going to quit, because we just saw on the other side what happens if you do maintain that level of competitiveness all the way to the bitter end.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's a learning lesson. It helps you. A lot of times, as we spoke on last week, we talked about you want to learn from your wins, right? You don't want to necessarily lose. But if I was being honest with myself, we probably should have dropped, one or two on the road, but we made some toughness plays down the stretch. And so it always evens out. Some of the games that you're supposed to win, you win. The other ones you're supposed to lose. That's the game of basketball. And so understanding that we're still in striking distance, we're still right where we want to be, we have to use those lessons. Even though we wish they were wins, like I'll sit here and I say, hey, you know what? Maybe we lose North Florida, but, man, we should have had that Florida Gulf Coast game. At the end of the day, both those are learning lessons. They allow for us to grow and get better, and it's up to us to really implement what we've learned.
He's head coach Jordan Mincy. I'm Scott Manzi. This is True Talk with Coach Mincy, live at Bono's Barbecue, Merrill Road and 295, every Monday night now through the end of the season. And it is hard to believe that we are over the halfway point of conference play at this point in the year. Hit that last Wednesday, and here we are kind of rolling toward, and we'll talk about coming up in a little bit, those repeat-type opponents for the first time on the schedule coming up this week. And it'll the end of the season will be here before you know it. You got to take advantage of those opportunities when you get them, and the opportunities to hit the reset button, Coach, like you said, and get a chance yesterday to just refresh, reset, come back ready to go on Monday morning to attack another big week. I liked point guard Jakari Spence's quote after the game, in which he said, "I stand behind a whole bunch of guys who didn't give up. I keep standing behind a coach who never gives up on us. I'm going to sit on this one for one night and then move on." I know you're a point guard, and you like when your point guards are able to kind of communicate that kind of stuff. I mean, did you feel that through him?
Yeah, you know what? He was actually stating that after our loss. Rob McCray was taking it pretty hard in the locker room. He felt like he really let the team down based on his shooting performance. And, Jakari just got up and basically said that in front of everybody. Yeah. Like, hey, look, man, we fall back, we drop two. We can't let this carry over and linger too long. And so, guys are highly emotional when you lose games, and they've won so much, as of late, that it's kind of hard for them to process those feelings.
You sort of forget what it is like to lose and have to process that when it just feels like you win 7 in a row and it just feels like you're never going to lose again, right?
You feel like you're invincible, And so just being able to understand that, look, man, you're right where you want to be. You're in striking distance. Yeah, you can't get those games back, and so you have to flush those down and then be ready to go for the next few.
How are you working at this point in the season on management of guys, minutes, roles, things of that nature? You ran kind of a shorter bench on Wednesday night, went deeper on Saturday. Are you just sort of taking it game by game, matchup by matchup, as far as who you're deploying on for how long at a various night?
Well, we talked about it after our Florida Gulf Coast game, and I was mad at myself because during our 7-game stretch when we were winning a lot of games, we were actually playing more guys. And so we were performing extremely well, especially on the offensive end in that first half. And, just talking to our staff, they felt like, hey, Coach, we want to keep some of these guys in. But to be honest, I felt, down the stretch, our guys were extremely tired. Yeah. We had guys who, were very fatigued at the line. We had guys who were turning the ball over. We had guys who were making plays, especially on defense end. We weren't getting stops. And so I was saying to myself, maybe if you play those guys, they're 6 to 10 or 11 minutes, you have guys who can be able to finish strong down the stretch.
Yeah, you think about Jakari Spence, for example, ends up cramping up, and yes, you don't have him out there for some crucial minutes down the stretch when I'm sure you would have really liked to have had his leadership out there. And, he's just one example of several guys that certainly seemed to be kind of fighting through the end of that game. But there on the other side, it seemed like because various guys coming in and helping. I mean, think about Kent Jackson hitting a big 3 down the stretch, or any number of other guys, Tito coming in and playing defense, and then there was enough there for that rally to happen to even put it in consideration for it to be a comeback.
Yeah, Kent Jackson is a guy who has to get more minutes, obviously. His ability to shoot the ball, and he's grown so much on the defensive end. Tito's a dude who can play inside out. Obviously has unique length. You saw he was, the primary cause a lot of those turnovers down the stretch.
They couldn't see around him.
They couldn't see around him. And so, especially in Swisher, man, he has such a unique feel in there. And so, Donovan Rivers is also a guy who's been really good for us as well, who's allowed for us to be good.
Artis was, I think, making a case for Tito to shoot one of those last shots. He's like, oh, he's a great shooter, Tito. You got to watch him from three, too.
Man, Tito shoots a extremely high rate, high percentage from the field, and so especially from three. And so we're confident in him. Like I said, we had a couple guys that I know would have made that shot down the stretch. We're confident in Rob as well, but it just came up short.
Well, we're going to talk to head coach Chris Hayes here in a few minutes, and I know that's one thing he's talked about with his team and the depth and the importance of knowing that you can turn to anybody at any point in time and feel confident that they can step up and do the job the way that you expect them to do it. I mean, it makes your life a lot easier as a coach, right?
You know what? Being able to have guys who have confidence, we talked about it before the game, crazy confidence, understanding who you are, understanding what you want to get done, and putting the preparation and the time in so that you have that level of confidence. And so we have multiple guys who can step up, who can perform, and they know that their staff, that we trust them. And so we just got to get back on the winning road, understand who we are, and make sure that we use that confidence to get back on that winning streak.
Well, that's what we hope starts up this week. Jacksonville heading on the road starting on Thursday night. Down to DeLand, short road trip to face off against Stetson, and then back home on Saturday as they welcome the Bellarmine Knights into Swisher Gym and try to pick up that win streak at home again from there as well. I know these guys are going to be hungry to defend home floor again after the week that was. All right, he's head coach Jordan Mincy. I'm Scott Manzi. This is True Talk with Coach Mincy live at Bono's Barbecue, Merrill Road and 295. We've got plenty more for you coming up on the program, including a conversation with baseball head coach Chris Hayes. We're going to get into what's coming up this week in a little more depth and look around the ASUN as well. All that and more as True Talk with Coach Mincy continues live here on 1010XL. Welcome back to True Talk with Coach Mincy live, Bono's Barbecue, Merrill Road in 295, taking you up to 7 o'clock here tonight. So we got a little more than a half hour of basketball talk still to go. And we're actually going to deviate a little bit from the basketball talk to talk a little hardball, baseball, that is. As head coach Chris Hayes joins us on the program here this segment. And they're getting ready to start their season here in just a couple of weeks. Fresh off alumni weekend and enjoying the warm weather for practice, I'm sure, right now, as opposed to what it was a few weeks ago. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Oh, finally, it's just great to be here. It's great to be here with Coach Mincy and you, Scott. Great to see you again. And the weather's turning for us finally. We had a rough January, and we lost a lot of days out there.
I was about to say, when it's icing outside, what are you doing at that point in time? Hitting in the cage a little bit?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the school helped us out by shutting down, so we didn't have to do anything outside. No, we get out there and get in the cages and get our work in, and then get out of there. Definitely don't want to spend too much time out there if we can help it. But yeah, the weather's turned, and we're well into our practice season, and we're going to have 6 consecutive days here with no adverse weather at all, and we'll get going for West Virginia here in 2 weeks.
Well, Coach, you two were just talking right before the break, and I made the comment about how, of course, a baseball coach can coach up a basketball coach on, like, how to recover from losses, because if you think you're going undefeated in basketball, it's crazy. You think you're going undefeated in baseball, you've lost your mind, right? So the ability to be able to bounce back, compartmentalize, put it behind you, how important is that as a coach to communicate to your team?
Oh, you got to continue to reinforce it. And for us, especially in the game of baseball, it is about riding the highs, but it's really the true metal of the man is to show how you behave when things aren't going well, and the adversity that's going to come your way, and how do you respond when you get punched, when you get knocked down, when things don't go your way. Are you going to step right back up and be the same person you were the play before? And how do you handle that adversity? And that's the thing that we talk about in our locker room and with our guys, and just continue to fight and stay to the process and say, move on from play to play to play and compartmentalize as much as possible.
Coach, I know that you talk with a lot of the other coaches on campus. You offer advice when the opportunity presents itself, but how much do you get a chance to lean on some others when it comes to, hey, listen, I need a little help here too?
Coach Hayes, he's been like a mentor for me for a long time. He was part of my interview process. That was one of the main reasons I chose to come to JU, because he was so transparent, so honest. And so being able just to lean on him, understand his guidance. We made a run. I was just telling him before we went on live, we made a run last season, but the entire year, he's just telling me, hey, don't worry about it. Keep it going. You never know. It's about how you finish. And he was just telling me, one of his seasons where, he had, a whole bunch of injuries. And at the end of that, that season, everybody came back, and he made a unbelievable run. And so To be honest, I was literally leaning on that story. Like, that was my last chance of hope the entire last season. And all our guys came back. We got healthy. We made that run. I was like, hey, this is what Coach Hayes talking about.
A friend of the program, Ryan Quintero, and I were comparing last basketball season to that somewhat infamous, somewhat legendary 2021 baseball season, in which at one point Coach Hayes and I were riding down in his truck to DeLand for a series to start the month of May. And he's like, where do we rank as far as, like, all-time worst seasons in JU baseball history? And I was like, well, it's not great. It's not the worst, but it's not great. And then from there, when you know it, it's June and we're still playing baseball. And it's like the beauty of it, right? And you're hoisting a trophy at the end of the conference tournament. Just goes to show if you keep that sort of mentality that, hey, next game, right? Next game. As long as there is a next game, you never know what's going to happen in the long run.
Well, and again, you're showing these young men how to handle life when things don't go their way. This is about the sport that we're coaching, whether it's basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse. It's about the sport. That's the vehicle that we're using. But truly, the lessons that you learn and how you go about your business, dealing with the successes, dealing with the failures, and trying to maintain that positive mindset is the thing we continue to reinforce in helping these young men and women prepare themselves for their next phases of life.
How has that changed? Coach Hayes, I'll go to you first, and then Coach Mincy, I want to hear from you too. But as you bring that up, I don't want to do in today's day and age, but dealing with that level of, like, understanding that things aren't going to be rosy all the time and that there will be some failures that you get to choose how you respond to those. But in an era in which guys can kind of pack up their bag and go home, or gals or whoever, if they don't like the situation that they're in, how do you kind of balance being instructive on that? You're going to deal with adversity, and you have to learn how to handle it.
Well, you got to invest in the person first. You really do, and that's what's special about JU, and what gives us the opportunity to have success at JU is, it's about competing on the field, it's compete on the court. But it's more about the relationship-based environment that you get on an everyday basis. And first, then it starts with the individual, and you got to invest in them when you're recruiting them. You got to help them understand what this landscape's going to be about when they're here. You got to find people that fit and personalities that fit in your program, and then continue to invest in them. And just because they get here doesn't mean the growth stops. That's when it begins. And you continue to invest in them and be honest with them, and then when things don't go their way, there's trust, and it's a two-way street. We trust them, they trust us, and if you don't have that trust, it's a tough battle to fight. But you got to earn the trust with them every day, and they've got to earn it from us as well, and you got to be honest about that.
Coach, for you too?
Coach Hayes just said it best. JU has an environment where it starts with Alex Ricker-Gilbert, our athletic director. He just talks about the student experience, being able to continuously love on them, mentor them, make sure that we continue to give them the tools that they need to be able to be successful in life. And so when he hired me, he said it's not all about wins and losses. It's about those individuals understanding, are they getting mentorship? Are they able to be successful once they leave JU after their 4 or 5 years based on how long they're there?
And I mean, as someone who's been around a long time too, you're able to see that, whether it's like your alumni weekend, Coach Hayes, that you just had, seeing the guys that built that level of trust and understanding that want to come back. Coach, what you have done since you came into this basketball program, rekindling that community of former players that just wanted a hand to remind them of the good times that they had, and it's been impressive to see the community nature of what really can come from a place like JU.
No doubt. And, I mean, it's about the kids, but it is. The wins make it a lot more enjoyable, I can promise you that, all right?
Well, I mean, yes, I think for everybody involved. Right?
I've got a lot of wisdom on my face that continues to grow, and I think it's accelerated by some of the innings and games that I've been through. So,
well, the beauty is that both of you guys have commemorative balls in your offices that show wins and milestones and things like that, because – you're pretty good at your jobs, if I do say so myself. So
I appreciate you as well, Mr. Mincy. Right?
All right. Well, he's head coach Chris Hayes of the baseball program, joining us here with Coach Mincy on True Talk with Coach Mincy here on 1010XL. I want to get into the team a little bit here as well, as you're getting ready. to get your season started. Yep. It is a Valentine's night first pitch to begin the season this year. So I don't know if they're doing date night out at the ballpark or however you guys are trying to promote that one. But
but they can thank the NCAA for that one. That's the date they gave us. So it wasn't my fault.
No, I know. You play the games that they tell you when to play them and where. You did an interview for D1 Baseball, which is one of the big outlets, in which you talked about the depth of your roster on this year's team. And I know that's something you've been trying to build up. It's a unique time. It's not the same. You don't bring them in as freshmen and keep them until they're seniors the same way anymore. How have you all been able to assemble this roster the way that you seem to like that it is assembled this year?
Oh, it's a credit to the staff. It's a credit to Colby Bortles. It's a credit to Casey Kalina of being able to put together this roster. And we've had some adversity. We had some adversity that we had to deal with over the summer with the transfer portal. We got introduced to it, and it hit us pretty hard. But we never stopped. Just like we talked to our players about absorbing the adversity and continuing to move forward, the only failure you truly have is if you lay down, if you stop, and you just throw your hands up in the air and you have no more answers. No, that's not acceptable with any of us. And we were able to put together an unbelievable group coming in, and we have 14 new players this year. With that, we have depth across the board, position player wise, the two deep. And I talk about the two deep, what you categorize as a starter and the player behind him. You look up, I feel very comfortable running all 16 guys out there. There's differences in each one of them. They have different characteristics and different strengths, but whoever we're running out there, we feel really good about. On the mound, we stay healthy. It could be really good. I mean, Richie Long is back. Blake Barquin is back. We've added young men like Alex Walsh and Colin Rothermel who will anchor the rotation. We've got guys on the back end like Nick Anello, Anthony Cordero, Josh Fernald, guys that are new to the program. But, man, they've made an immediate impact to us, and they've really bought into what we're doing. They bought into the weight room with Coach Roller. They've bought into what we're doing in the locker room, on the field, the culture that is JU baseball. It's a really, really tight-knit group that believe in each other. And I really feel good about maximizing what this group is.
You brought up a name in there in Casey Kalina. Anybody who followed the program in the last 10 years might recognize that one, a former standout pitcher. He was a starter as part of the 2017 ASUN regular season championship squad, your first year as the head coach. Bulldog, Irish boxer, several different ways to describe him and his approach on the mound. Just a lefty that wanted to come right at you and challenge you every single time he pitched. So now bringing him back, he's been a pitching coach in a couple of different locations, most recently Delaware. What does it mean to bring a guy who obviously understands JU back, but also has kind of worked his way into this opportunity?
Well, as we continue to build this program and the vision of who we are and what this program will be today and in the future, this was a part of it. And Coach, and Alex Ricker-Gilbert and I talked about Casey Kalina once we realized he got into coaching years ago and knew that this is what we wanted to do, and the timing was right. The timing was right for us. The timing was right for Casey. And as soon as we had the opportunity to get him back in a Dolphin uniform, we jumped on it, and it didn't take long for him to hit the ground running. He knows what it takes to have success in this program at this university. He knows what it means to have success at this university. And for him to come in and bring that same mentality to his work every day, it's going to show in our pitching staff, and their preparation and how they compete will be noticed very early in the season.
Well, you'll need it to be noticed early in the season because that schedule's a doozy, as usual.
Yeah.
Front-loaded, as is wont to be around these parts. West Virginia's opening weekend, which is a familiar foe, actually, the third time in the last not even 10 years that West Virginia's come in to open up the season, and there's been some great memories from the last couple of times, 2018 and 2020. Florida is in town, Florida State, Illinois State, all in the first month. And so I know that you like to get your guys ready early and understand, like, listen, I mean, if we're going to be among the best, then we got to play the best. And so getting them ready to go opening weekend, I know isn't the easiest thing in the world. You got to ramp them up quick. But how are you all feeling as you approach the opener and just less than 2 weeks away now?
Well, it's great. I mean, there's definitely urgency with our preparation. And that's the thing. We're not going to be able to just kind of walk into the water here when it comes to the season. We got to dive head first. And polls just came out, and West Virginia's 21st in the country. I think Florida's, ninth or something. I mean, Florida State and Florida both are in the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 6 of our first 9 games against ranked opponents at home. So it's awesome to have them at John Sessions, and hopefully we make it challenging for them from the environment and the fans that show up. But definitely want to give our guys the opportunity to play against the best. And the whole goal behind it is if we get to that 36, 37, 38 win threshold, that from a national standpoint, we are considered for an at-large bid. And there's a history of that at JU where we have been, an at-large bid. We don't have to win the conference to get in. The ASUN doesn't have to be a one-bid conference in baseball. And history has shown it can be a 2 or even 3-bid league. And we're going to, if we play well and we're prepared, we're going to be in the mix at the end. If we don't play well, we're not going to be in the mix at the end. We're going to have to win the tournament, but we've got to play well early, and that's all you can ask for when you get here and get on the field. It'll be up to the guys.
Florida is the 18th of February for those scoring at home. Florida State is the 25th of February. And anybody who has watched this team the last several years remembers some February wins over those respective programs in John Sessions Stadium, and they're always memorable and they're always fun. And the crowd sometimes skews a little 50-50, and it's always nice to send the visiting fans who happen to live here in town home a little disappointed for a night when they think they're coming in to watch a fun one. But it is always enjoyable to see the caliber of opponent brought in, the way that you have scheduled it over the years, and building this program to understand it, almost anybody, anytime, anywhere, that type of mentality. Because postseason you got to be ready for it, because you never know who you're drawing. You're playing, FAU, or you're playing Florida, or you're playing South Carolina, and those are just recent examples. And so you better be ready to go when those come around. You don't want to be caught looking up in the lights and shocked.
100%. We want to get these guys ready for baseball. We want to be at our best in May and June. Now we've got to be ready in February. We got to be playing really clean early. But truly our best baseball, our goals is to be at the best in May and June.
But you're healthy and you're ready to go? Is that the
right now? We are.
And I'm knocking on every piece of wood, my head included.
You
right?
had to say that, didn't you? Okay.
Well,
all right.
Well, I know that sometimes at this point in the year, it hasn't even been that good. So, and that's good to know at this point in the season. JUDolphins.com/tickets if you're interested. Season tickets on sale. Single game tickets, if they're not already on sale, will be going on sale very soon. So that is available now there for you. I went on the website today, confirmed. I saw those tickets available. So go on there. Find a way to come on out to a game, because John Sessions Stadium is a gem. It is right there on the river. It is one of those, on a day like today, is a perfect place to sit and watch a baseball game. So if you've never done it, or if you haven't done it for years, this is going to be a fun team to come on out and support. So I encourage anybody to do it out there.
Absolutely. And, and if anybody is interested and wants to support the Dolphin baseball program, I'd love to have them join the JU Baseball Diamond Club. That's a way for them to gain access to the left field terrace, and a really clean, fun environment down there for folks. And it's just another way to support JU baseball.
Absolutely. Coach Hayes, thanks for joining us here today. Love having you on, catching up with you. And, well, I'm looking forward to being around the program again this year, too. So.
Absolutely. Can't wait. We're not ready for it yet. We still got a couple weeks. We got some work to do on that basketball court. So I'm looking forward to watching Coach Mincy finish this thing out. But yeah, I look forward to seeing everybody out the park.
All right, he is head coach Chris Hayes of the baseball program. We are back for one final segment when we return, as we take a look ahead to the upcoming week, and plenty of stuff on deck. He is head coach Jordan Mincy. I'm Scott Manzi. This is True Talk with Coach Mincy, live at Bono's Barbecue on Merrill Road here on 1010XL.
Hello.
Welcome back into Bono's Barbecue, Merrill Road, and 295. 2 segments in the books, 1 to go here on this Monday night. True Talk with Coach Mincy continuing. And we are glad that you are with us wherever you may be. Some good folks in the house here at Bono's tonight as well. And really enjoyed catching up with head coach Chris Hayes from baseball just a few minutes ago. He's a guy, we talk about him in glowing terms. I know that you really like him. He's a guy I go back over a decade with now, and is as genuine as they come, and it is straightforward as they come. And sometimes you got to have one of those people on your side, right, who's just not going to sugarcoat it, who's going to tell it like it is. Coach Hayes is one of those guys.
Yeah, Coach Hayes is an unbelievable human being. He really cares about, JU, the university as a whole. And so, like I said, from day one, he was part of my life since I, put 2 feet on JU's campus. And so I'm so thankful to be able to have, his mentorship, to have someone that can help guide you and have those deep conversations that you need to have when in regards to your program and just how to run your program day to day.
All right, as we get ready to put a wrap on things here in about 10 minutes or so, let's go ahead and take a look at the league standings as they look right now. Jacksonville, despite the 2 losses last week, is still sitting in a very good spot in a 3-way tie for second place, just a game back of FGCU, who is in first at 8-2. JU, Lipscomb, North Alabama, and Queens, that's a 4-way tie, all in second place. It's a logjam at the top of the standings right now, and really this thing is very much up for grabs for anybody. EKU is lingering right behind. They're one of the hottest teams in the league right now, having rattled off a couple of wins at 6-4, and those are your 6 teams with winning conference records right now. Coach, I know you know this, but this thing is so far from over at this point in time. On the back half of conference play, yes, but we have seen, even just the last couple of weeks, how quickly just a 2-game stretch can affect the standings and positions being swapped. I mean, Queens probably felt like JU does last weekend. Did you talk to your guy Grant Leonard about that?
It's funny. I literally I pulled into the parking lot here, and I was talking to Grant, and Grant's just like, "Hey, how you feel, man?" And the biggest advice I have, he's like, "Hey, man, just stay positive." The season is a bunch of runs. He's like, you had one of the best runs you guys did. And so I know right now it's not a great feeling, but at the same time, you got to understand, man, that's just part of the course.
Yeah, they were in a very similar spot last week at home, first place, feeling good, lose both. It's like, what do we do? And then they bounce back and they win 2 in a row last week. And so and they're right back into the thick of things, and that's how it'll go, I'm sure, the rest of the way. It'll be fascinating to see if there is any sort of separation. Do 2-3 teams peel off, or is this like sort of a, hey, here's the teams at the top, here's the teams at the bottom, and they're going to be swapping spots almost like a NASCAR race at the end, trading paint and positions all the way to the bitter end. Could make for a fascinating finish to conference play. This week, heading on the road in kind of a weird schedule. It's 1 road game, then right back at home, and then, of course, the back half of the schedule is tough with a ton of road games, but we'll be getting to those coming up. Stetson, Thursday night, 7 o'clock. This is a very different Stetson team, though, than the team that we've seen the last couple of years, the team that very memorably went on the run to win the Atlantic Sun Championship last year, punching the first ticket to the NCAA tournament in school history. That team was a veteran team, had been assembled for years, had kind of grown together under Coach Donnie Jones. Well, they won the championship, and between graduation and transfers, there are very few faces that are familiar amongst that team, but they're starting to put it together a little bit here as of late, and after a kind of a rough non-conference, starting to play a little bit better. So what can we expect to see coming from Stetson down in the Edmond Center on Thursday night?
Obviously, Coach Donnie Jones, coming off the NCAA tournament, he's a coach who's been in the league a long time, have a great amount of respect for him. Their team, obviously went out to Florida Gulf Coast, didn't play up to, their abilities, but we saw, they went to overtime with North Florida the game before that, and then they had, a couple key wins on the road. You think about their win at EKU, how impressive that was, and we know they're going to give us their best shot when we go down there. Obviously, our guys got to be up to the task and understand it's going to be a hard-fought game. Yeah,
they're no strangers to close games and having opportunities. You mentioned the UNF game. That was a big rally by them. They were down 15 points with less than 5 minutes to play and managed to – they actually took the lead with less than 10 seconds left, and a free throw ended up forcing overtime for North Florida, and then they prevailed on a layup with 2 seconds left. I mean, that was as close as it comes. And then – obviously, FGCU is just playing at a really high level right now. So be very interested to see how this Stetson team, who's currently 5-5 in the Atlantic Sun, tied for 7th place in the league with North Florida, how they handle themselves back at home in a place where they've had some success against JU in the last few years. And then Saturday, it is Greek night, Swisher Gym, right back at it. I mean, you don't want to put the cart before the horse and start thinking about a game that is still in the future. But these guys, you all as a staff, these guys as players, they got to be chomping at the bit for the opportunity to get back in front of the home fans and sort of build off of what was the second half on Saturday and feel that winning feeling at home again.
Yeah, you know what? Swisher's been so good to us throughout the years. Obviously, we had, 2 emotional games last week, as we spoke on earlier. But to be able to get back home in front of our fans, kind of get that taste out your mouth, it'll be good. But at the same time, I know we're extremely focused on Stetson coming up on Thursday as well.
Once the Stetson game is over and you start looking at Bellarmine, does that help when you turn it around because you've already seen them once this year as far as preparation is concerned?
It's a unique feeling, right? You feel like because you already seen them, you're very familiar with them, but then at the same time, you have to revisit the film and see, what different looks that they're giving teams and how the adjustments they made and may make going into your second round game with them.
We want to shout out women's basketball as well for picking up another win this week. They had their 3-game win streak halted at EKU on Thursday, but they turned right around with a win over Bellarmine. Shania Craig has been an absolute monster on the glass as of late. She is on an incredible pace. She recorded a night double-double in the win over Bellarmine. She leads the ASUN in rebounding, nearly 11 a game, and they're starting to talk about, Kayla Gordon, former assistant and an excellent player in her time here in a JU uniform, maybe coming for that all-time single-season rebounding record.
I see her all the time, Craig, around the basketball practice facility. She's an unbelievable young lady who carries herself the right way. She really loves the women's basketball program, and she's giving it her all. She's actually playing through injury, which, is applauding to her and her strength that she shows day in and day out, just to be able to go out there and get those double-doubles and try to get those wins for her team.
She's done an excellent job here as of late and helped fuel this team, who are winners of 4 of the last 5 games that they have played in. They're now 5-5 in the ASUN, tied for 6th in the league, and she's only a sophomore, so still a bright future ahead of her. And then women's basketball this week coming up, they've got a pair of games on deck. They are at home on Thursday, the 6th, they will face off against Central Arkansas. That's a 6:30 p.m. tip-off at Swisher Gym. So the men are on the road, the women are at home. And then a rare doubleheader at home on Saturday. Don't get a whole lot of those, but it is North Alabama at 2 o'clock on Saturday. The women play, and then 7 o'clock on Saturday night, you get the men playing as well. It is the kids' game on Saturday, posters and autographs after the game, so good opportunity to bring the family out for that one. And then come right down here to Bono's, grab some dinner, and head back for the men's game that night. Could be a great day of basketball down at Swisher Gym on Saturday afternoon here in Arlington. And then we do want to shout out Title IX and Cool Kicks Day on February 6th as well, that Thursday night. So if you got some cool kicks, make sure you're wearing those to the game. All right, Coach, we teased it last week, but it is Dolphin Dash week. It is time to dash on campus, and that is, for those uninitiated, the biggest fundraising campaign of the year for both the university and the athletics side. It is a week-long challenge. Teams... And it really gives the athletes themselves this level of autonomy to be able to go out and say, listen, you see me, you know me, you can help me directly in my quest to be the best student athlete possible and have the best resources to be able to take advantage of that by donating directly to this campaign, which all the dollars go directly to the teams or the athletic department if you choose to donate in that way. So it is a big opportunity. Most donors, most dollars are the 2 big challenges this year, so trying to get the most dollars and donors to 2 challenges to get a bonus at the end. It runs now through February 7th at 1 o'clock, so that is this Friday. Men's basketball also in the gold bracket, so you guys will be competing against those teams. And the look on your face is like, you're feeding me news here, Scott. You're feeding me some news. I was unaware of a gold bracket. But Fast Start Challenge is also tonight through 11:59. So you can donate through 11:59 tonight if you choose to donate to men's basketball, and they end up the biggest winner as far as funds raised. They will get an extra $200. So JUDolphins.com/dash to donate. And here in our final minute of the program, Coach, your chance to make a pitch to the public.
Yeah, Dolphin Dash is one of our biggest fundraisers for the university, but also for our men's basketball program. And so we just ask for our donors to come out, continue to support financially. Anything truly matters, and what they give doesn't go unappreciated. And so we love Dolphin Dash. It's going to be a fun part, all the way through to the 7th. And so we look to compete. It is great news. We're in that gold bracket, and so we have a very high standard that we got and great competition to compete against.
JUDolphins.com/dash And that'll take you right to the link where you can follow the instructions to be able to donate. That's now through February 7th at 1 o'clock. Time to dash, Dolphin Dash. All right. Well, that is it for the program this week. We want to thank everybody who helped make this one another great, memorable True Talk with Coach Mincy. We want to thank baseball head coach Chris Hayes for joining us in the second segment. We want to thank the Jacksonville Athletics Department for coming out and their support, as always, helping put this thing on. Now we are on YouTube, so check us out on YouTube the day after. It goes up there, so share it with your friends. Watch it back if you missed it the first time, and that is the JU Dolphins YouTube page. We want to thank RJ Saunders back in the 1010XL studios for his great work and making us sound good as well. For head coach Jordan Mincy, I'm Scott Manzi. Thank you to everybody here at Bono's at Merrill Road and 295. This has been another episode of True Talk with Coach Mincy on 1010XL.
To stay